is equal. Rich or poor, illiterate or professor, everybody is the same. And I'm happy that Nigerians have spoken and they did everything to maintain the peace, in spite of the fact that there were some elements who, in spite of the efforts of the security agencies, conducted themselves in a way that led to violence, and unfortunately, some of our countrymen and women lost their life in the process. Like President Muhammadu Buhari said yesterday, we join him in commiserating with the families of those who lost their life and of doubtful integrity. And Nigerians have resolved the issue satisfactorily, and we believe Nigerians have spoken. They spoke the mind of the people of Nigeria. However, yesterday, the PDP candidate who lost and who was a signatory to peace accord and who went into this race knowing fully well that Nigeria cannot possibly elect two presidents. Only one president will emerge. Having suffered defeat, which I believe he deserved, he went on to say that he rejected the result and adduced a very laughable argument as a basis for his decision.
That was the chairman or the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress speaking there. He talked about they just concluded presidential election, and he also spoke on the candidate of the opposition party, Atiku Abubakar. And this morning we are looking at the call for Atiku to go or to not go to court. And our conversation this morning is centered around Atiku's choice. Will he get justice in court? And to help us have this conversation, we have the Director General of the International Institute of Professional Security, IIPS, who is also a public affairs analyst. We have with us this morning Tony OFOYETAN. Good morning for being here. Thank you so much. You've heard all of the situations surrounding, Atiku at the moment, the call for him to go to court or not to go to court, to seek legal action or not to seek legal action. And we've heard from Olisa Agbakoba, we've heard from Dele Momodu, there's been the Arewa Consultative Forum as well as the Nigerian Labour Congress. They even had a meeting yesterday with the peace panel. What do you make of all this?
I think the final decision is in the hand of Atiku, and he has made his position clear, very unambiguous, that he will be challenging the result of the votes in court. If you ask me, I think that is a better option to violence. That is what democracy is all about. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any reason why anybody should say, don't go to court. I mean, it's a different thing to say, don't get involved in violence and all those stuff. If the man feels aggrieved, if he feels that he's been robbed in any way whatsoever, there's absolutely nothing wrong for him to go to court. It's at his own prerogative. That's why when I look at some pressures on him not to go to court and all those stuff like that, I personally don't see it as being healthy to democracy. We always do a juxtaposition with GEJ, Jonathan. Jonathan is a different person with a different temperament. And the circumstances that surrounded Jonathan's election was such that even from the popular perception of the election, it was relatively free, fair, and credible. So if you look at it from that angle, and the man himself, understanding the philosophy of Jonathan to election, believing that it is not, that his political ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. I think in Africa he happened to be the first to concede to defeat in such a manner. That's a different ball game entirely. For Atiku, if he feels very strongly about what he believes in, that look, even if I lost the election, maybe the margin was too much, maybe there are so much irregularities that you and I can't see or didn't know about, but at that echelon he has first-hand information about, and that is why he said, look, let us go to court. Another thing you must realize is that when the matter goes to court, a lot of can of worm that you and I don't know will come out. At times, even those that are putting pressure may also be aware of such information and that they don't want to come to the public glare. It's not a matter of whether he will win or he will not win. There are some things that could be so damaging. And when they come to public glare, there may be a different perception about her opinion about the post subsequently. So to me, I think it's a good legal test. And it also puts the judiciary on the spot. I've had a lot of argument that if he goes to court, he will not get justice. And the issue of the Onogan removal became a very, corroboratory narrative on it, that Onogan was removed in anticipation of the fact that the matter will definitely come to court and that they are not trusting whether Onogan will be loyal and the like. So there was the necessity to remove him and put somebody that is loyal. Now that is a narrative. But the whole thing about the judiciary is this. No matter how corrupt you are as a judge, now when certain documents become unambiguously obvious, it becomes near impossible for you to pervert justice at that point in time. I agree to the extent that there are no wrongs that cannot be right, there are no right that cannot be wrong. But there are certain facts and evidence that will be placed before you. You will have no option. Even if other people, even if you have forces that are, maybe, playing some music for you to dance behind and all those stuff, you discover that you see yourself going back to say, look, there is nothing we can do about this as it is. It's either we want to settle out of court or want to look for a soft landing. So the implication of Atiku going to court is to put the judiciary on the spot. Everybody will be looking at the judiciary and there will be interpretation of every step they take. And I think that as a body, as one of the arms of government too, they will also want to play safe. The Supreme Court is not going to be the ultimate. It's not the first point of call. The tribunal is the first point of call. So if he feels very strongly about that, I don't fall within the group of people that would say, don't go to court. I only fall within the group of people that will say, don't encourage violence.
Okay, looking at the election in general, but first, before I ask the question, let's tell our viewers that our phone lines are open and the numbers are displayed on your screen. So you can feel free to call us in and let's get your thoughts, your opinion about the Atiku going to court and if he stands a chance of justice in the court. Let me just ask you this question very quickly. You've observed the poll, you witnessed the election. I don't know if you voted. But,
I did, of course. I
voted. Of interest, that's beautiful. So how would you describe the process of the election? Was it free, fair, and credible? Because not until the process is adjudged to be free, fair, and credible can someone not have a chance of winning a case in the courts. Do you think the election was free, fair, and credible?
Well, to answer that question, I will only do a little juxtaposition with what happened in 2015. And what happened in 2019, I will tell you that 2015 was far, far, far better, more credible and fairer. Okay. The spate of violence and killings in this just concluded presidential election is unprecedented. The spate of desperacy between APC and PDP is unequaled in recent time. If you look at even the level at which politicians were very desperate, it's so alarming. Within a twinkle of how many days, 3 months, more than 22 human beings killed, assassinated, stampede, gunshots and the like. For what? Now the only thing you hear at the end of the day is we sympathize with the families of the departed. That's all. Maximum 1 minute silence. But they are not feeling the pain because they are not the direct family members of those people that died. you know, we needn't conduct election and end up having people killed in such a manner. You heard of the commissioner of sport that was killed in Delta State. You heard of the chairman of APC in, I think it one in Benue State also, two of the states also, I can't really remember, you know, that were assassinated and all those stuff like that. You heard of so many cases of such. I don't think it was really worth it. But at the end of the day, you now have a victor, you have a vanquish. That is the implication of what we have now. So if you talk about free, fair, and credible, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not too impressed about what has happened. There's voting, you know, from the ethnic perspective, which was so obvious. Lagos State also disappointed me because I had always seen Lagos State as a relatively peaceful state when it comes to election. But what happened in Okota, the Agor Palace, this thing, was a big-time disappointment. And APC is trying to manage it now because APC knows that the gubernatorial election is coming. And the sure tendency is that those people that were disenfranchised will not vote for them. It's not a subject of debate. Now, trying to now manage the whole situation now, I don't think it is worth it. Now, for an evolving democracy, as we are evolving into development, there are some things that we should be removing from our polity. Toggery. And as it is now, PDP and APC, they seem to still encourage toggery. Anybody that wants to contest election in Nigeria now, apart from first of all having enough or sufficient fund, he is also thinking of building its own private army in the name of toggery. Or, you know, that to me is something that should be discouraged to the barest minimum, if possible eradicated. I don't see any reason why it is only in Nigeria you see that somebody would move from toggery to presidency. You imagine that politicians are sitting, you know, well-meaning Nigerians are sitting, you also have head of thugs sitting among them, taking decision what it would be his own role. His own role is to snatch ballot boxes, his own role is to assassinate, his own role is to disrupt areas that they know that they don't have strong hold on. If we are truly evolving as a political, you know, conscious country that truly believes in democracy, I think that by now, some of these things should have been as good as dead. You are talking of a democracy that is going to almost 2 decades now. For goodness sake, we are no longer kids in this whole thing. We are very concerned about, you know, ensuring that this democracy survives. But the political class is not interested in that. The political class is only interested in, let me get there first. If I get there, if you like, go to court. Before you finish your court case, we have already finished our second or our first tenure. That is also the reason why you see those that are saying Atiku should not go to court. You know, because of also the duration. That, okay, let us even assume, without conceding that you will win. When will that justice come?
All right, just to let our viewers know that our phone lines are open. You can call in to make your contribution to the conversation, you know, ongoing. We're talking about Atiku going to court. Is there any certainty that he will get justice? We want you to call in and make a contribution. Don't forget that when you call in, please move away from your TV set or turn it down completely. Also mind your language. You're not allowed to use any foul language or cast aspersion on anyone. We're counting on you to make your contribution respectfully. You talked about the strength of evidence in court, and then you also mentioned the issues around Okota and the several killings, you know, during this period. With all of that, is that not enough evidence for him to take to court?
Even INEC itself considered that there are irregularities. The argument is that the irregularities are not enough. This is the margin. It's not as if we are not canvassing or saying anything that out of the blues or assumption. No, there are facts even before INEC. And, you know, but where I think that PDP would, if we have a good system, will become a major issue is, part of the regulation of INEC is that the card reader must be used. Unfortunately, there are communities that the card readers were not used. that becomes a very serious issue. You understand? Then the issue of, you know, a proper breakdown of the analysis of the results that you declared to the public. How many people card readers were used for? How many of the votes you don't have card readers used? You know, there must be a proper breakdown. And I want to assume that maybe these are some of the reasons why PDP want to go to court. For me, it's worth testing. The issue of whether Atiku will win or Atiku will lose, to me, is secondary. As far as I'm concerned, it is worth going to court and test. Since he has made up his mind to say, I want to go to court, he has not breached the peace accord. Peace accord didn't say don't go to court. What peace accord is saying is that don't go into violence, don't encourage your supporters to go on the streets and the like. So what is his sin? If you feel aggrieved or you lost the election and you feel that you cannot, or for one reason or the other you've been shortchanged, and you are going through the normal channel, I don't think we should persecute him.
Okay, well, let's just bring our viewers to the info that the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has officially made a demand, he just made 6 demands from the federal government yesterday after a meeting with the National Peace Commission, and it was headed by the former head of state, Abdulsalam Abubakar and Kuka. It's also captured on the dailies. And top of the list of the demand is the fact that he asked that the federal government unfreeze the accounts of opposition politicians. So the first thing he asked for was that the federal government should unfreeze the accounts of opposition politicians. And he also asked for the demilitarization of subsequent elections in the country. He asked for that accreditations should take place first before voting in subsequent polls. He also asked that INEC should open its back-end servers to all participating political parties and that all illegally detained politicians be released. 6 demands there. What do you make of the demands from Atiku?
Just before you answer,
we have Edward.
Edward calling from Ijesha. Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello, good morning, Edward.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to SUPERDAWN.
Yes, my contribution is that I don't buy the idea that Atiku should not go to court. Let him go to court and let him do what he wants to do. So we know what to... We see what the judiciary will say about it. So court is not a place that somebody should not go. Let him go and let's see what he says happen.
All right, thank you very much, Edward.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so you've heard the six demands of Atiku. What do you make of that?
They are not extraneous demands. And as far as I'm concerned, it's also very unfortunate if you have opposition being persecuted in a democratic setting like this. That is why many Nigerians keep losing faith in the system. There is nothing special about opposing you. It doesn't make any difference. You have a view, and I have a different view about it. It's not iniquitous. That doesn't mean that because you are on the seat of power, you should not begin to persecute me for it. I discovered that this is the only country where it is easier for government to, prosecute people on the pages of newspaper, and Nigerians will buy it hook and sinker. And when that same case gets to court, it falls like a pack of cards. Why? Because there was no substance ab initio. It was standing on nothing other than the fact that, we are tired of corruption. So anybody that the government labels as being corrupt, as far as the people are concerned, is corrupt. As you are sitting down here now, doing your journalistic work, awesome, good. The day you venture into politics and you say you want to contest against the government, that same day they will tell you the history of your life in another version and put it right before the public and make everybody to believe that you are the queen of Jezebel. And it will shock you to your bone marrow that
some people will believe it and will consume it as such. So why would government, for example, freeze the account of opposition? For what reason? And you are not freezing the account of your supporters. You are not freezing the account of your party members. But you are freezing the account of opposition. At the end of the day, EFCC will come and tell you, we are investigating or that they are corrupt. Okay. You cannot be a judge in your own case. If you think they are corrupt, go to court.
To your hold just a bit. We have a call from Patrick. Patrick calling from Bagada. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome to SUPERDAWN.
My name is Pastor Patrick Onyejaka.
All right, welcome.
I'm calling from Soli.
Welcome.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, let us allow Atiku to go to court. Because this is a broad-day robbery. They are preaching for corruption. Corruption. How can they do this? They open air, they steal the mandate of somebody. Let him go to court. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very
so
much, Patrick.
But when you look at these demands he just made, it does look like he might have decided that if these demands are met, he is not going to court. What would be the implication of someone like Atiku, who is a big wig in terms of politics, deciding to not go to court when he feels that he has been aggrieved?
The other thing is that I am personally disappointed in the so-called Peace Commission. I am disappointed in them. Because if this man says, I'm going to court, why are you putting pressure on him not to go to court? If something is not wrong somewhere that you are aware of, why must you put pressure on him? So the issue is, don't forget that Atiku is a politician. Now, if he says, I am going to court, and the federal government is doing everything in terms of propaganda, in terms of pressure, that means something is wrong somewhere. And that is why some of us are like, if you want to go to court, go to court. If for any reason we will hear a lot of information we didn't hear before, at least we will see the pleadings. And they will be made obvious to the public, the grounds upon which is, gone into court. And you and I know that it will not become a very big eye-opener. I don't see any reason why Abdul Salam and the cookers and the like would say, don't go to court. When Jonathan said, I am not going to court, why didn't you put pressure on him to go to court? Is court a slaughter slab? Is court not part of the democratic setting?
All right, let's put you in a hold just a bit. We have Kenneth calling from Bariga. Good morning, Kenneth.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to appreciate God over the man that is telling us the truth. And my prayer is that God will strengthen him the more. This is our country. In fact, I've titled, I've nicknamed Nigeria, Who Will Talk. That's what I nicknamed Nigeria. What happened in this last presidential election, for me, it was too painful. I don't know how to explain it. And then people will still come up and begin to tell us that Nigerians have decided. I feel too pain when some of them, like Ochomara, will say Nigeria have decided to vote the person they like and all that. Well, my prayer is that God will intervene in our country so that democracy will stand. We are not practicing democracy. We are not practicing democracy at all. But God will surely intervene. I pray God will strengthen Atiku. Let him move forward. And then even if the whole thing is maybe turn around, well, he has done his own part. God is watching over my own is the very day of election, I will go out and vote. The people that are supposed to count, that is their couple. If they do whatever they want to do, God is watching everybody. That's my only little contribution. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You were speaking just before Kenneth called, and just speak of where Kenneth stopped, and then you go back to the question. He said that we're not practicing democracy, and he also said Atiku should move on. But the question again is, what is the implication of Atiku not going to court? What does that mean for our democracy and our electoral system?
Well, if Atiku is not going to court because of pressure, it is a minus for our democracy. If he's not going to court because of legal advice from his team, are you there with me? It simply means that what he has applied is legal wisdom. I hope you understand.
Yes.
Now, but if it is on the basis that Father Kuka, Abdul Salam, the peace committee came and put pressure on him, and people are saying, if you go to court, you will not see justice, or you will not have justice, and all those stuff like that, and please don't waste your money, you know. To me, it is a big minus for democracy. And it also means that it's a big question mark for the judiciary as an institution. A very big one. We've been having challenges with the judiciary credibility of late. A lot of judges and justices have been accused of corruption. Remember the case of even some of their houses being burgled into in obnoxious hours of the day and all those stuff like that. That's why I said if Atiku goes to court, it's not going to be as easy as people think. It will put judiciary on the hot spot, very, very hot one, to the extent that, you know, it will not be more or less like we are watching you, every step you take, we watch you. Thank God that we are now in e-world. And in e-world at times, if you are not careful, people will even see the nakedness of who you are in your bedroom. You know. So to me, if he's going to court, basically, if he's not going to court because of pressure, it's not good enough. But if he's going to court, he's not going to court because his legal team advised him against it, having looked at all the evidence on ground. I think it's legal wisdom.
Okay. Well, let's look at the fact that the PDP as a political party rejected the result of the election even while the results were being announced. We have Success calling from Surulere. Success, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to SUPERDAWN.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah, what we are practicing in this country is not true democracy. We are practicing rigocracy. We are some certain group of people sit down in the comfort of their home to decide who wins and who does not win an election that was keenly contested by people that know that they're supposed to.
Success, are you there?
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Success. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was saying that this election that was contested between Atiku and Buhari, but unfortunately, very unfortunately, I was one of those that voted, and I know my candidate that I voted for. But even the polling unit where I voted, I can also feel the pulse of people around me on that very day. But it's surprising to me what INEC has decided to do. You see, God will intervene in this country. But I beg you to know that, you know, what has happened this time around is an eye-opener to Nigerians to always stand by their vote. There were a lot of intimidations and all that. You know, during this election processing, a whole lot of things went wrong, but only God will intervene. If Atiku goes to court, he is very sure of victory. This is one of the reasons why Onohe was removed. Many people do not know, because they know, the sitting president know, the sitting government know that if Onohe remains a man of justice, definitely if he loses the election, that Atiku will go to court, and definitely the will of the people will be retrieved from the APC through the court.
Right,
this was one reason why Onohe was removed, and that is why they could not find any reasonable excuses that to say that Onohe is corrupt, he did not declare his assets and all that. All those.
Thank you so much for calling, Success. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I was going to ask you that the PDP rejected the results of the election even while the results were being announced. What does that tell you? And also look at the demands. One of the demands Atiku made is that INEC should open its back-end servers to all participating political parties. What is this thing? Or what
now let me say that there was no transparency in what INEC did. Look, election results ordinarily should not generate any problem at all. The reason is because the results are declared at each polling unit. That is so easy. It's just collation and calculation. That's all. I know the result of my polling unit. For those of us that voted, we know the result of our polling unit. Each party agent, they'll come together and collate it. There is nothing called rigging in that. Collate it. There and then, within hours, the result, you know it. But the problem is always when it comes to fixing those results in INEC servers and all those stuff like that. And that is what PDP was trying to make us understand. That look, it is at the collation center we always have problem. Nobody is having problem at polling unit. At polling unit, you vote immediately, you wait, you hear the result, you go. You write it down. So if everybody, let us assume that you have about 170-something thousand polling units in the country. If they bring witnesses from each of the polling units and say, everybody, come with your polling results, do you think it will tally with what INEC had released?
We have Joy calling from Oshodi. We'll get back to the... Joy, good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, good morning, Joy. Oh, I think we lost that call. Joy, please call us back. We'd love to talk to you. Let's continue.
So, you see, this is the problem we're having. When it comes to collation, that was why, you see, people are majorly concerned about what happened along the line. Then what happened to the extra ballot papers that were not, because normally after the vote you count in the polling unit. The normal thing is that the agent will sign how many people voted, the total number of people accredited, the total number of people that voted, the total number of ballot this thing that were voided and all those stuff like that. And it will go like that. And they will go.
Emmanuel is calling from Bagada. Please, we'll return to you shortly. Emmanuel, good morning.
Yes.
All right,
this is Emmanuel calling from Bagada.
Go ahead, Emmanuel. Okay.
I'm of the opinion that Atiku should go to court.
Okay.
Because this election is fraudulent. We look at the cases of disenfranchisement, deliberate manipulation of results by INEC, vote buying, burning of election materials through the ruling party. And we look at the action in Rivers State. The ruling party, the government in power, the agencies, security agencies, and INEC should account for all this. I've never seen election so fraudulent in this present era. So there is need for Atiku to go to court and contest for the results of this election. Everybody knows that the rigging was so obvious. There's no two way about it. Let him go to court.
All right,
and I thank God for the man that has come to buttress this fact. And the lady, the presenter yesterday, I listened to all she presented yesterday. I could see the outcry. This is not acceptable in this present democracy. Let us see.
All right, thank you very
so
much.
Emmanuel.
Thank you. Okay.
You were speaking on the issue of the back-end server, collation of results and polling units. And
no, you see, Atiku's position as far as the back-end server is concerned, the collation process is concerned, is to put INEC on the spot of being credible enough, being fair to all parties. To me, that is the normal thing. There's nothing extraneous about that. I'm not expecting INEC to bring up any issue on that. I'm not expecting INEC to bring any issue on that, because we are talking about credibility. You are talking about being fair, and I remember that the issue of credibility came up some time ago when I granted an interview, and I said, look, electoral credibility comes before the election itself. On the election date, you talk about being free and fair. That's all. The issue of credibility, you would have laid the foundation long before then.
All right, just to hold you up again,
yeah.
We have Joy calling back from Oshodi. Joy, good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir.
All right, welcome. Let's get your contribution.
To me, ever since I've been voting, I've never ever voted in my life. But for this one, I voted because the vote was very clear. Very clear. In Oshodi, yes. We know how many buses being bought. They did not bring out that one. In Anika Street, Shobule, they did not bring out that one. My mind does not deceive me. Let Atiku go to any length. The truth is being clear. They said they are fighting corruption. They are the one carrying it on their head as if they are carrying a bag of water. I support no party. Jesus is my party. But enough is enough. Let's be wise. We should not allow any man sit in his house and start pointing who we win. Since they know they... So why are they closing down our business for 2 different days? But no going out, business shut down. Everybody was running empty scatter. Why? Since they know who will be here, they should stop asking us to vote. They should stop paying unnecessary money to high neck.
All right,
thank you so much for calling, Joy.
Joy, thank you.
Joy said something. She said Atiku's fight would be more like is a fight for everyone who voted for him. Do you agree with that statement, that if he refuses to go to court? I mean, with all of the comments we're getting from people who think they voted for him, Emmanuel from Bagada, Joy also saying that, do you think that if he doesn't go to court, he would have let down his supporters who say, look, we believe you won the election?
No, of course, naturally, that would be the impression, because you are talking about more than 11 million Nigerians. There is no auditorium in this country today that can accommodate 11 million Nigerians at once. So that's to tell you that it is not just a mere figure. You are talking of a figure that is even larger than some West African countries. So, and if they feel very strongly that, look, this man go to court, it doesn't make any difference. Like I said earlier, I don't see any reason why there should be pressure on him not to go to court. I don't see any reason. He's not talking about a parallel government.
All right, sorry. We have David calling from Ajawa State. Good morning, David.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
David, can you turn down the volume of your TV set, please?
Yes, sure.
All right, let's get your contribution if you've done that.
Please, what I am saying is this. The rigging is so obvious and everybody knows about it. 1 week before 2 days before the election, everybody heard about the looting of 6 million votes outside of APC. But some hours before the election could be conducted, we heard that the election has been counted. So what I am saying is that Atiku should go ahead and go to court, because this rigging is too obvious. Everybody knows about it. Not all the polling that were casted up, and we know the minimum of people that came out that day to vote. And we are not as large as being called. You know, even in Kano, we know that the people that came out to cast is not even up to thousands, but we heard of APC millions of voters. The rigging is too much. And even some various videos that have been sent both in WhatsApp, in Facebook, or media, or social media, we saw everything. And by the Nigerian are not practicing anything democracy. We are doing according to what our perfect incumbent power says. So I think Atiku should go ahead.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, David. You were speaking to the issue of whether he's letting down his supporters or not.
No, to me, it depends on the circumstance that will make him not to go to court if he eventually decides not to go to court. If he's not going to court and is able to convince his supporters that, look, it's because of legal issues or legal impediments based on the advice, that he's getting, it's sellable. But if he's saying he's not going to court basically because there have been pressure on him not to go to court, it's a defeatist, very defeatist position, which may also weaken, you know, some people that believe so much in him as a person. So as far as I'm concerned, if he goes to court, good. If he doesn't go to court, it doesn't. I don't lose sleep. I made up my mind right from the word go that whosoever wins presidential election in Nigeria, I will not lose my sleep, because I've seen the handwriting very clear. Far before the election, I've seen the level of desperation, the level at which they were preparing, you know, and it was more or less like a do or die affair. You see the level at which they...
All right, permit us to put you on hold again. We have Innocent calling from Ogudu GRA. Good morning.
Innocent, good morning. Hello?
Hello, Innocent. Good morning.
Hello, Innocent.
Yeah. Asking Atiku not to go to court.
Oh, Innocent, we have to let you go. The line is breaking and we can't hear you very well. And I think Innocent actually is our last call for today because of time. We have to look at the implication of this on the ruling party and the winner of the poll. Now, what happens if the petition or the court nullifies the election or declares Atiku the winner? What will happen? What will happen? Because I'm trying to have a picture of the scenario of what will happen. Do you think they will accept that, or they will go to court themselves?
It depends on the level at which the decision is made. If it's at the court of first instance, since there will still be hope for the ruling party, there will be relative peace. But if it's at the Supreme Court and the election is nullified, I would expect some level of violence and reaction from the ruling party's supporters, which may also be such that it may eventually snowball into some crisis that may require military to, you know, come up either to quell the crisis or to take over, depending on the magnitude of such a reaction. So basically, there will be a very tough and stiff reaction from the ruling party if the Supreme Court should say, you are not the, even if it means saying that you are going to have another election, because having another election will not be who is going to be the president. In the meantime, the implication is that the Senate president will now eventually become the president, because he can no longer be the president as at that time, because it's another tenure entirely. So that's also a very big legal logjam. You know, so these are some major fundamental considerations when it comes to the Supreme Court taking a decision otherwise. So at times you see why, say, when the Supreme Court is a social engineering body and looks at the core implication of the decision they want to take, except it is such that it is overwhelmingly impossible to decide otherwise, they may want to say, let's retain this government.
All right, just before we let it go, we want to hear your advice for Atiku, his political party, and his supporters at this moment.
Well, for me, I think I like Atiku's approach. That is the non-violent approach. I like it. I would only plead with APC, and especially the APC chairman. Don't heat up the policy. So his choice of words are not good enough. When you try to maintain a balance, when you try to maintain some level of peace and harmony, I'm not too sure that Atiku can talk tough. I'm not too sure that Adams or Shomole has the type of crowd or the type of backing that Atiku has. So to now go to the extent of a personal attack on him or his person, I don't think it's good for the peace of the country. As it is now, there should be some level of, decorum in his utterances. It's too inciting, it's too provocative. He is a leader, and if he's a leader, he must understand that his choice of words are very important. You must be magnanimous in victory. That's just the truth, You must, in your utterances, let us even assume that you won truly. You must be magnanimous in your utterances.
Let's take this last call from Bayo before we round up the segment. Good morning, Bayo.
Hello?
Hello, Bayo. Good morning.
Hello?
Bayo, good morning. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Bayo. Okay, I think we lost that call.
All right.
Hello?
All right, Bayo, go ahead. If you can hear us, just go ahead.
Bayo, go ahead.
All right,
we can hear
we
you.
lost that call. We want to say thank you so much, Mr. Tony OFOYETAN, for coming on the program, and thank you for your analysis of, of the issue.
Time analysis.
Yes, I'm very sure most Nigerians have a clearer picture of the issue at this moment. But we'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll be talking sports with Prince Willovesa on the program. Do stay with us.